Reeves, I apologize.
I'd like to speak when appropriate to the measure. Is now okay?
Now's okay.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, we live in unprecedented times, just really unprecedented. You know, and I know that our nation is divided with deep fissures that are literally tearing our country apart and this Commonwealth apart. And let me be very clear about what I'm about to say. I understand where my colleagues are on the other side and why they're offended by the actions from the senior senator from Chesterfield, and that's why they brought this resolution against her. But I personally can't support it. You see, it runs counter to my sworn oath, like my colleague, to the Constitution of the United States. I'm bound by duty and oath to oppose this action because it strictly tries to condemn someone for free speech and right to assembly. It can't and shouldn't be condoned or reported out. You see, as I stated before, we live in unprecedented times. This country has dramatically shifted from the belief of freedom of speech to a culture of freedom from speech. Speech they don't like or don't want to agree with. And let me say that again. We have moved from freedom of speech to freedom from speech. The freedom to express yourself is a basic right enshrined in our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. It's a right that free men and women have died for, to include my own relatives. You see, this movement to extinguish free speech is a threat to the bedrock of our democracy, and if it continues, will make the chasm that currently exists wider and I believe cause us to collapse. When something someone says offends us or hurts us, our feelings there is a prevailing call to snuff it out and demonize the speaker. We have moved to sensitivity censorship that builds, quote, safe spaces. And we've seen schools of higher education who ban specific speakers who hold a difference of opinion, and they're mostly conservatives, where they're classified as hateful or hurtful speech just because they have contrary views and espouse those views. It's often referred to as political correctness, but I want to call it something else. I call it suppression speech. Members of the committee, as much as you don't like what Senator Chase has said and her actions, I can't suppress her right to offend or we'll soon all be condemned. Like my colleague, Senator Bell, I served as an Army officer, and in that role under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, there lies a section that talks about conduct unbecoming a commissioned officer. That code details what is expected of those empowered in leadership. The U.S. Senate has written it into their rules, a section that addresses the same conduct unbecoming a U.S. Senator. But to my knowledge, we have no such section that I'm aware of in our own rules. Maybe we need to add that section based on this issue. Whether we want to believe it or not, the people who elected us to office hold us to a higher standard of conduct, and I agree with my colleague. And that's what this resolution should be addressing. Not what Senator Chase has said, but her conduct over the period of time, which I can't support or condone. This country and this Commonwealth needs leaders of high moral character, willing to bridge the gap and bring people together. We need leaders that can heal our nation and our Commonwealth. And I don't really know about everyone else, but I'll tell you, I try to live by faith and walk by sight. And I often look to Scripture, and this is what Scripture has to say. In Titus 3:10 in the Bible, the New Version, it says, warn a divisive person once, then warn them a second time, and after that have nothing to do with them. That's what I've chosen to do, and I'd encourage the others to do the same. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Reeves. Are there